G'day, Bomber fans. It is deadline day. It is Christmas Eve, or I guess it's Christmas Day, actually. We're about to find out just who is on our list next season. We're about to find out whether we're cheering on the package as he randomly rolls out the barrel from 80 metres against North Melbourne in front of 9,000 people. Or maybe we're watching him tear up against us as the Giants pile on a 370-point win in Canberra. We don't know what's going to happen with Jake Stringer. We're about to find out. It is a big day. There's lots to talk about. It's the last trade update of 2024. Very sad. And before I get into it, I do just want to say a big thank you to everyone for sticking around to watch all these videos. I really like nerding out to the trade period, and I guess it's great to have a reason to do that. So thanks everybody for watching and commenting down below. It's been a boring but fun few weeks. It's all about to end, so let's talk deadline day. Okay, so before I get into the nitty gritty, let's talk about deadline day itself and what it looks like. It's a little bit funky with some rules added to make it more accessible to fans. So clubs will all gather at Marvel Stadium today. They're going to spend the day talking trades. There are some trades that have already been agreed upon right now, but nothing can be lodged until 2 PM today. Why is that? I guess it's so they can make the last few hours as entertaining and watchable as possible. So if you finish work or school, you can sit back and relax, head onto the AFL official website. There's a live stream there today. You can wait until 7:30 PM, which is when the trade period officially comes to an end. There are a good 10 to 20 deals still yet to be agreed upon, including one big Essendon trade, which I will spend most of this video talking about. So I guess let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Let's talk Jake Stringer. Alrighty, Jake Stringer. Now this is our only deal left on the table. If anything else occurs with us, it would be a big shock. There's not going to be any players leaving or coming in tomorrow. If anything, maybe a cheeky pick swap, but I doubt it. I think all of our attention will be turned to Jake Stringer. So he obviously wants to play for GWS, and the Giants want him. That want isn't massive, so I doubt they really budge too hard here. They do want him though. Rosie yesterday said that progress hadn't really been made on this deal, so it seems there's quite a bit of work still to be left to be done. Clubs have been negotiating. They talked yesterday. They'll obviously talk today. I'm going to talk logistics in a second to try and figure out what this trade could look like, but it does seem like this deal will be finalised today. It would be a bit of a surprise if it isn't. Late picks is all it will really take. There isn't too much to this deal. The Giants don't want to give up too much for him, and we want to be compensated properly, obviously, but there's probably middle ground we can find somehow. I do wonder if the recent mass GWS player suspension will play part of this. There's some news going around that a handful of players from GWS could be suspended for the opening game next season after some, I don't know, postseason antics took a bit of a turn. Depending on who those players are, maybe the Giants are more willing to budge a tiny bit and give us a little bit more than we deserve to get an extra player on the park for their opening game. I doubt it though. I just thought I'd mention this because it is making the news. Now there's also a little bit of talk that if this deal can't be agreed upon early, and if the James Peatling to Adelaide deal can't be agreed upon that GWS are also negotiating, that the three clubs, Adelaide, GWS and Essendon, will meet to try and figure out if there is room for a three-way trade. I think that is unlikely, but definitely a possibility if trade talks stall in either of those deals. James Peatling is trying to get to Adelaide, and both clubs are dealing with future picks, but that has dragged out a lot longer than many thought it would. That deal was supposed to be done last week. It is now deadline day, so there would be some worried player managers floating around trying to help clubs reach a fair conclusion. Okay, so on screen, I have both clubs in their draft hands. We're going to have a bit of a chat about what this trade could look like if it gets done and what's holding it up right now. So the Giants have offered up pick 56 at first. They're now graciously offering pick 53 for Stringer. We want more, and I think we're all reading between the lines a bit here, but that more is probably pick 37. I think Rosa has his sights set on that selection. The issue is, I personally and others think that is over for a player like Stringer. I reckon his value is, funnily enough, in between 37 and 53, somewhere in the 40s, and obviously, as you can see on screen, the Giants don't have a pick in the 40s, so the clubs are going to need to get a bit creative. There's been suggestions that the Giants could package 53 and 56, send them both over to us, but we already have capital that late, and I think Rosa wants us to secure a higher selection to be able to use after a bid for Kako, or even to move up the draft order. The Melbourne pick swap has helped us find ways to get a bit more creative. I personally like the idea of sending picks 46 or 54 to the Giants along with Jake Stringer, and in return receiving pick 37, so we get rid of a later pick but manage to get a second rounder in through the doors. I will say a few selections will be off limits. 28 and 31, they're not going to be used for us. We need those picks for the Kako bid. For the Giants, 15, 16 and 21 will be off limits for them. I don't see a way for us to trade up to get them, and there's not really much point considering they're just going to be eaten up in a Kako bid anyway. I can only see those late second rounders being involved, and that's the best case scenario. I think if anything was to happen here, Best case scenario, it would be 37. A few things to note, GWS do also have an academy player to match a bid on a bit later in the draft, Ruckman Logan Smith, so they will want to keep those picks in the 50s, just in case he's bidded on before, and there's a slight chance, I mean, it's a slight chance, but there's a slight chance that pick 37 could be eaten up in a bid anyway, if he goes before then. So I think Rosa and Stringer's player manager will talk about that when negotiating. Smith's value is very hard to read. I think they won't part with both picks in the 50 just to use in a bid. That would be a bit of capital to get rid of, and I think that 74 is just a pointless pick for us to attack. So really, I think it comes down to us sending over a third rounder to get 37, or we just budge and take 53. It's tough to see how it plays out. I'm pretty keen to see how creative Rosa can get here, or if he just budges and takes that pick in the 50s, or maybe he doesn't trade at all. I hope he does, but you never know. Alright, some more trade updates before I leave you. So yesterday, Matt Rosa revealed that Dylan Shiel is staying with the club. That isn't really news. He said that probably the most of the trade period. There was some interest from GWS, but that interest must have been pretty minimal, because a trade was actually never discussed with the Giants, according to Rosa. That isn't us wanting to keep Shiel. That is GWS simply not pursuing a trade. And now our future third, it doesn't really matter too much here, but I thought I'd just update you on this anyway. But our future third, that pick that we sent to Melbourne, the future third in that pick swap, has now ended up in Brisbane as part of the deal to get Harry Sharp to the Demons. Speaking of the draft, well, not really speaking of the draft, I guess, but let's talk about the draft. So lots has been made of Isaac Kako, our academy product. We have another kid by the name of Jaden Nguyen. He actually tested at the state combine recently. That is the combine held in each state, not the national one that all the best talents are at. But Nguyen was really impressive in his testing. In fact, he was arguably one of, if not the best tester at the state combines. He finished 3rd in the 20-meter sprint. He was 5th in the agility test. He was 3rd in the standing vertical jump and 4th in the running vertical jump. He was really, really great. Nothing but good news for us there. I'll talk about him more in the coming weeks. And finally, some really fun news. Dyson Heppel, he is continuing his football career. He has signed for VFL Club Port Melbourne on a 2-year deal. He is not only playing over there, but also acting as an assistant coach. He'll be helping develop the younger players through there while also playing. I think James Hurd works there now, Adrian Dodora as well. So we'll get to see Dyson Heppel go up against our young boys in the reserves. It's not really news that impacts us, but it shows you I guess, potentially wants to pursue a career in coaching or the developmental side of the game. I personally would love to see him back at the club at some stage later down the track as a development coach for our younger boys. Alright, that is that. The last trade update for 2024 done and dusted. Cheers for watching, guys. I just want to say again a big thank you for giving me the opportunity to nerd out to you. I wouldn't be doing this if you weren't watching, so a big thank you for that. I'm only going to nerd out more in the coming weeks as we lead up to the draft, so stay tuned for those videos. I'll post a Stringer reaction tomorrow regardless of the outcome, because either way it's big news. And then on Friday I'll have a trade period review out, and I think over the weekend I might give myself a bit of a rest, but that is all for now. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some good news. Cheers fortune, guys. Make sure you like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.